Hi all, we are having Grigorii today. He's building the sales engine for Web3. Thank you so much for coming. And could you please introduce yourself in a couple of sentences?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Grigorii. I'm the CEO of Spredo. Spredo is a platform that automates sales for Web3 companies through Telegram.
Nice. And you've started working at startups in the UK, from the very young age, right? Could you please tell us about your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Russia, and so at around age of 17, I moved to the UK to study at an engineering school called Imperial College. And from there, basically from my first year at uni, I started doing part-time work and summer work within different startups. And I went down this route, and that's how I got introduced to the whole startup culture.
Nice, very interesting, so early. And also I know that you started your career in data, and then you moved into Web3 sales, and then ended up launching the project, the Spredo. What was the specific moment that made you think that you need to build this yourself?
Wow, there's no way to really answer that quickly. The first part of the question, which is, I guess, how I got into sales in the first place. It wasn't like an obvious career path for somebody with technical background. So when you're studying engineering, you usually get into software development or finance or mathematics or something like that. And so that's what I did. For the first couple of years, I worked as data analyst at various startups that dealt with a huge volume of data. So I worked for real estate data startups, and finance data startups. I guess that's where my passion for the big data and everything related to data really came from, which I'm going to talk to later. I decided to switch to sales around 4 years ago when I was offered a position of business development manager at a Web3 startup. And roughly 2 years ago, I launched Spredo when it was bear market, and I decided it was the right time to basically switch and try to build something myself. And that's where I decided to take my expertise in sales, and specifically in Web3 and sales on Telegrams, and connect everything together in this one product that we're doing.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you. And Spredo was a data company at first, right? What's changed, and why? How did you pivot into the current form?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're actually still a data company. Always has been. But when you're doing automated outreach on Telegram, you're only as good as the quality of the contact data that you provide to your customers. And so most of our customers come to us not only for certain automation that we do, but also for searching for specific contacts inside our database. And so we spent the first 8 months of our project pretty much developing and building the algos that allows us to collect this data in a sustainable way and then store it inside a database. And so obviously the technical challenge is this data needs to be constantly updated. It needs to be constantly clean. It needs to be precise. And so, that is the company that is the team that stood behind the success of Spredo at the early days, is building out those algorithms for finding Telegram contacts of different people inside the Web3 space. The rest was, history.
Yeah, thank you, Grigorii. And you've worked in Web2 before, and how is it different to sell in Web3 and in Web2?
This is an amazing question. I think something I'm going to be thinking before I go to sleep today, philosophically, because I actually never did any sales in the Web2. Like all of my experience, so about 5 years of sales experience I have right now, which was about the time I converted from the tech guy to the business and sales guy, I spent in the Web3 space. And so I wouldn't really know, but I believe that it's very likely that one day I will have other projects that may also touch the Web2 space.
Okay, got you. Thanks. And what do you think? What are the biggest misconceptions that founders have about B2B growth in the space?
It's really important to build relationships with leads. So it's not just about hitting the right contact and hitting it at the right time. Obviously, it depends on the complexity of your product and the price of it. But mostly in the B2B space, you build relationships with customers over, throughout several weeks and several months before it actually leads to anything. And so you need to implement certain processes inside your sales team where, first of all, you have a CRM for sure. You will not survive without a good CRM. But also where you're constantly pinging your leads on a regular basis. You're constantly sharing cool updates with your leads that shows them how you're different from your competitors and so on. And you're basically building this picture in their head where whenever they're ready to actually start paying for your service and use your product, there is sort of no doubt in their head that yours is the best. And so not all of the founders, unfortunately, realize that. Some people think that it's mostly just a dry manual job of sending messages to people.
Yeah, this is important. Thank you. And about Telegram. Telegram is chaotic. Why build a sales engine on top of it? What does it offer that email and Twitter don't?
Telegram is amazing because it's called a private messaging app for a reason. The fact that it's private allows you to communicate with prospects with a much higher reply rate because it's a messenger that, unlike LinkedIn or email, that people use all the time everywhere, regardless of where you are. You're on your phone, you're at the conference, you're in the car, you can always reply to messages on Telegram. And whereas not everybody have, LinkedIn on their phone in the crypto space. And so, the competitive advantage that we've discovered with Telegram is that the reply rates are 4 or 5 times larger on average than, similar outreach activities and similar sale activities on LinkedIn and email. So it's this niche, unexplored niche, I shall say, where there's only a couple of tools like Spredo in the world today that do that, and we're filling that niche.
Mm-hmm. Okay, makes sense. Thanks. Could you tell us what happens when a client runs a campaign on Spredo?
So once our team and the client's team has determined their ideal target audience, and we have received all of the necessary parameters from them in order to set up their profile. When we run their first campaign, the client can log into our platform, and then they can control each of their campaigns. They can see the progress of each campaign, what's happening inside the campaign. They have the whole history of their conversations with prospects. And at the top of the list, they always have the most relevant conversations with people who are actively replying to them and they're having an active negotiation / conversation with. And then there are certain functions, certain features that allows the clients to connect our platform to the rest of their sales funnel, whether it is a CRM or anything else, where they are converting the lead from this cold lead further down the funnel, where they become a warm lead and they start building this relationship that we mentioned earlier with them.
Mm-hmm. And your reply rate is around 20%. What makes the system so effective? Yeah,
well, first of all, it's a lot of thanks to Telegram. So the hardest thing was actually to implement automation on Telegram because it's very technically challenging channel. I would say that the number one reason is that it's a private messaging app. I think maybe something similar on WhatsApp could potentially work for some industries. outside of Web3. But also it's, of course, the personalized and targeted nature of our outreach. So our clients, we do not do spamming. We do not support spamming. So our clients, they don't just spam random people trying to get at least some replies. At first, it's a very thorough process of selecting the right contacts, of specifically targeting the people who are very, very likely, almost to a certain degree, interested in their product. And then you're sending the messages specifically only to these people. And all of the messages are personalized. So these are not some generic messages, but you can personalize the message with a person's company name, their personal name, some details regarding their token or their company. So each message is not like the rest. And that, I would say, are the main factors that allow us to keep such a high performance.
Yeah, very interesting. And how do you find the balance between automation and sounding human? Isn't there always a risk, bot feel?
For sure. That's a really great question. That's where our technical expertise comes in, because there are prompt engineers who are getting salaries of hundreds of thousands of dollars per year nowadays in Silicon Valley for a reason. And if you know how to set up your AI correctly, and that's exactly what our team is doing, it's a hard and thorough process. But if you know how to do it correctly, you can get it to produce exactly the results that you need. And so after a very thorough research, we have arrived at a certain formula, certain parameter set that allows our systems to generate those messages very, very close to human messages. And we practically had 0 cases before of people recognizing those messages as a bot. So, we've done pretty well on that side.
Yeah. And what's something your AI system did that even surprised you?
I would say I'm more surprised with the data collection side rather than, the outreach side. I would say on the data side, I'm surprised how quickly we have arrived at the point where technology is able to produce results of such high quality. So in 90% of the cases, it will give you the person's real name by looking at their nickname, even though it could be something completely random, right? It could be like Grigorii Rocket 123. And yet it would, it would give you the real name of the person, or it would determine very easily the company that the person works for. So things like that, they keep surprising me. Like, I didn't know actually when we started. Okay, here's the good answer. I didn't know when we started how quickly we're going to be able to build our database as quickly as we did. I think it would take more time to collect contacts of the Web3 decision makers and get contacts of everybody in that space. But it took us probably just a few months compared to, a year or more than we expected. So that was very impressive, actually.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. And what do you think for early stage founders in Web3? What's more important to do first? Build product or find traction?
I'm a simple guy, so I would go for the second one. So it's always important to first have a network and know that at least a few people are seriously interested in what you're about to build, and only then build it, because then you are risking to waste time and money on something that may not necessarily have a product market fit. So I think that's where the Web3 conferences are actually really useful. So if I was starting over, knowing all the mistakes I made initially, I would probably, after I just have gotten an idea, I would probably go to some Web3 conference and then just talk to a bunch of people and tell them that I have this idea in the first place. And then if there is at least 5 or 10 people who are willing to pay for it, the amount of money that I'm expecting, then it's probably a great idea. But also they will give you a lot of advice along the way of that will help you to correct your idea. Like, they will help you to adjust your idea. So yeah, I would say always traction and validation first. and then you go heavy on the development, like pour all these resources in there.
Thanks. And speaking about mistakes, you've seen a lot of founder-led sales. What's the most common mistake they do?
Not following up with leads regularly. Like just making very long how do you say that, pauses. So it's very important when you're doing sales, either to have a dedicated person if you don't have capacity yourself, or to be regularly pinging your leads every day. So you need to be almost like a full-time sales manager first before you become a founder. Because if you're taking too long, to think and to reply to people who ask you questions about your product, they will either go to competitors, or they will realize that your team is overstretched, and they will feel you're disrespectful. So it's very important. Number one mistake is not following up with leads every day. It's important to sort of close the leads while you're ahead, so to speak. So if somebody's responding to you, it should be number one priority is getting to talk to this person, show them your solution, try to close the deal as soon as possible. Don't let them go and study your competitors. Like you need to be really fierce in that regard.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the great advice. You said that you've launched Spredo during the bearish market. How did you keep pushing when the market wasn't excited?
That's an amazing question. Makes me smile because obviously it was really hard, and sometimes you think you're gonna fail for sure. Like happened to everybody, I'm 100% sure. So I probably had 4 or 5 such periods in my life. But I'm just generally a very stubborn person. I think that in order to build a successful business, you need to be stubborn. You need to be like on the edge of stubborn, but also at the same time smart. Because if you're not seeing traction and whatever you're building, nobody needs this. Then no matter how stubborn you are, unfortunately, there is only one way it's going to end. But for me, what really allowed me to keep pushing is that I was stubborn, but I also saw a lot of champions. I had a lot of champions. I saw a lot of people support me in what I was doing and believing that this product would really change how they do business. And those people became my first clients when we released the first version of our product.
Nice. And what was the hardest moment in the first year of Spredo?
The hardest moment, I didn't know how to hire very well in the beginning. I wasn't really good at it. So the first about 4 months of what we were doing was pretty much wasted and money because I made some bad choices. I made some bad hires. And that was back in the day when Spredo was only led by me solely. But then I was lucky to find a person who became a technical advisor who taught me a lot of things about hiring the right developers, looking for the right type of people for the specific system that we were building. And we had to make some global changes, like fire some people and start from scratch, start over. It was really painful because a lot of money was lost, a lot of time was lost. But that's what was happening. That's what we were going through in our first year.
Yeah, very interesting. And you said you've made some bad choices. What was the mistake that taught you the most?
There is a lot. So there's a lot of mistakes and a lot of lessons. I learned a lot in the past 2 years because it's my first big startup. Well, hire slow and fire fast. This is one very good advice I can give you guys in terms of the HR process. That's what my tech advisor told me. And it was exactly the mistake I did with my very first hire, which was unsuccessful. So I did exactly the opposite. Hire slow, fire fast. I would say that's my main lesson.
Thanks you for the advice. Yeah, very interesting. Also, lots of Telegram outreach feels like spam. How do you make sure Spredo doesn't contribute to that?
Well, as I mentioned before, a couple of things that would allow that is the targeted approach for outreach. Is the personalized approach to outreach, but also the third element, which I haven't mentioned, is who is actually sending the message. So a lot of these spam that you receive on Telegram, they're typically sent from these very low quality, like burner accounts, if you will. So those are accounts that you will often see get banned pretty soon and get like deleted pretty soon. And so that's how most cases you can know that you've been spammed, because a lot of people are reporting this type of activities on Telegram. With our system, we actually provide to clients warmed up, high quality Telegram accounts. So their team is allowed to use those accounts inside our platform, and those accounts would just look like people working in those companies. So they would install real people's photos on those accounts and their real titles, like a BD manager or a sales manager. It will have a Telegram premium subscription, so they will be able to put their logo on it. So, you will know when you see one, but it will look like your or my Telegram account, like a quite official account.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. And Spredo is built around Telegram. What's your long-term vision? Multi-platform or something bigger?
Yeah. We really don't want to disperse our focus for now on other channels or our other platforms. I think that the fact that our niche is on Telegram is incredible. Because if you think about it, it's not really that much of a niche. If you look at Telegram, it has almost 1 billion users at the moment, like slightly more. So it's a huge market, just like completely unexplored, total Wild West, like LinkedIn was, or email was like 10 or 15 years ago, let's say, before all these MailChimp and similar solutions came to light. So we're like them 15 years ago. So Spredo is a potentially $1 billion company. If we can dominate this market in the next 5 years and become not just a tool for sales on Telegram in Web3, but just in general, a go-to tool for sales on Telegram. Because there will be in the future, I believe, a lot more businesses outside of Web3 in Telegram. So yeah, to sum up my response, so to go out of the Web3, yes, for sure, we're going to do this. To go out of Telegram, I think no, we're just going to focus specifically on that platform.
Okay, got you. Thanks. What belief helps you transition from employee mindset to founder mindset?
Wow. Yeah, this is incredible. I never thought about this, but yeah, I think that there isn't such like a single thing that helps transition. I think for me, this transition happened in those first 4 months, which we failed when we started the company. I think it's just a sequence of failures and lessons that you go through. I believe it's almost impossible to start a company if you never started a startup before smoothly, unless you're like Elon Musk's son and he teaches you everything that he knows. You either find a mentor, either way, you go through a series of failures when you start. Your main goal is to make sure that you don't spend too much time failing. So it's okay to fail for several months, but not years. And it's also to make sure that you are drawing the correct lessons from those failures. So it's not okay to fail and then keep doing exactly what you were doing. But if you see that something is not working, change your behavior and your results will change. And so within 2 to 4 months, that's what it took us to realize that and basically go through a complete switch. For me personally, to go through a complete switch to the founder mindset.
Very, very interesting. And what do you think about company culture, and what culture do you build in your company?
Awesome. I like that a lot. Yeah, company culture is everything. So even when we hire people inside Spredo, we firstly look at the person rather than their skills. because as my tech co-founder very funny says, that you can learn a hard skill, you can teach a hard skill to a person, but you cannot like change someone's brain. So basically, if it's a honest person, if it's a trustworthy person, a responsible person, even if they're not genius, if you know what I mean, you can still teach them hard skills within a couple of months. But if it's an arrogant person, no matter how good they are, they will probably be bad for your company in the long run. And so that's exactly the culture that we have inside our company, is honest, hardworking, transparent people, and friendly people who work as a team. And this is exactly how we hire people, new people as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, totally agree. It's so important. And you've already gave us so many amazing advices, but give us like the last and the most important advice to all the founders, to the all young founders that are starting their first startup.
One of the biggest lessons that I've learned is, if you're not a developer, so we're talking about IT startups, I presume, in general. If you're not a developer, no matter how much you're familiar with that space, which I thought back in the day, always find a technical co-founder or a technical advisor, because it's completely two different things to be IT enthusiast and to be an actual professional with like 10 years of experience, knowing like DevOps, knowing like different cloud infrastructures. Like that stuff is just deep. It's like a very deep rabbit hole. It took those people 10 years to learn that. Well, you were doing something else. You were learning sales, you were learning. So don't ever try to go this journey alone yourself, because that's what I try to do. Hired all the wrong people for all the wrong reasons, wasted several months. If I could start over, I wouldn't ever start a business without a technical co-founder. So
yeah. Thank you for this advice, and thank you so much, Grigorii, for this conversation. It was inspiring, interesting, and I wish you all the best with Spredo. Yeah, hope you, and I'm sure you achieve all your goals. And yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. It was really nice to talk.